Good evening and a warm welcome to the Diamond News Desk. At 8, we bring you some of the latest stories featured on DiamondTVZambia.com. You can also follow us on Diamond TV Online on Facebook or on X at Diamond TV Zambia. Now the headlines. In our headlines tonight, the Pretoria High Court dismisses Lungu family appeal bid with costs. And Paramount Chief Mpezeni summons TBZ and Eastern PS over tobacco farmers. Later this evening, Malawi votes and awaits presidential poll results. Thanks a lot for making time to join us for this edition of the Diamond News Desk at 8. The Pretoria High Court has dismissed with costs the Lungu family's application for leave to appeal against the repatriation of former President Edgar Lungu's body to Zambia for a state funeral. The court has ruled that there were no compelling reasons to grant the appeal, stressing the case was so fact-specific that it had little to no chance of being repeated. It has further held that costs should follow the outcome. In this matter, the Lungu family had argued that the court failed to respect their burial rights in repatriating the body. Meanwhile, the Zambian government and the Lungu family are said to be having fresh talks over the late president's burial site.
Edgar Lungu has once again lost its bid to stop the repatriation of his body for a state funeral in Zambia after the Pretoria High Court dismissed the appeal with costs. The court era ruled in favor of the Zambian government to bring back Mr. Lungu's remains for a dignified burial. However, former First Lady Esther Lungu and Mr. Lungu's sister and others opposed the decision, arguing that as heirs, they had exclusive burial rights under common law, which should be protected by the Constitution. They also argued that since the dispute arose in South Africa, where Mr. Lungu's body remains, South African law should apply. The family further claimed the court erred by relying on Zambian law without proper expert evidence and wrongly cited the counter case, insisting that Mr. Lungu had been stripped of his former president's benefits during his lifetime. The family also contended that the repatriation order was inconsistent, since it required the Zambian government to handle the process instead of the family using a private charter. They even argued that a corpse cannot be subject to a contract because it has no commercial value, an argument the court dismissed as irrelevant. In rejecting their appeal bid, the Pretoria High Court has ruled that the case had no reasonable prospect of success. It has held that Mr. Lungu was only in South Africa temporarily for medical reasons, and that both parties, that is the Zambian government and the Lungu family, to the disputes were foreigners. The court also says the counter decision remains the leading Zambian authority on state burials, adding that despite losing benefits, Mr. Lungu still qualifies for a state-funded burial as a former head of state. The Pretoria High Court has ruled that the Attorney General Mulilo Kavesha is himself an expert in Zambian law, making the family's claim of insufficient expert evidence baseless. The court has further ruled that there were no compelling reasons for the Supreme Court of Appeal to review the matter, as the facts were unique and unlikely to recur. The ruling has been made, but the Lungu family still has the option of approaching the Supreme Court of Appeal or the Constitutional Court. Meanwhile, both parties are said to be in formal discussions over Mr. Lungu's final resting place. Darius John, Diamond News.
A forensic pathologist at the Zambia Police Service has told the Lusaka High Court that he could not determine the cause of death of George Kalaba, whose skeletal remains were allegedly kept by his family in Lusaka's Garden Chululu area. This is in a case where Sylvia Mutuba has pleaded not guilty to manslaughter in connection with the death of her husband Kalaba, whose decomposed body was found in January 2025. Now, testifying before Judge Anio Ononuju, Dr. Victor Telendi, 48, said decomposition made it impossible to reach a conclusion since soft tissues and internal organs were absent. He carried out the postmortem on January 15, 2025. Dr. Telendi, who has practiced for 27 years in Ukraine and Zambia, told the court he had never encountered such a case before.
Despite a detailed post-mortem, the cause of his death remains unknown, leaving many grappling with questions that even science cannot yet answer. A forensic pathologist at the Zambia Police Service has told the Lusaka High Court that he does not know what caused the death of George Kalaba, a man whose skeletal remains were allegedly kept by his family in Lusaka's Garden Chilulu area. This is in a matter where Sylvia Mtuba pleaded not guilty to the charge of manslaughter in connection with the death of her husband, George Kalaba, who was found in a skeletal state in January 2025 on their bed. When the matter came up before Judge Ann Ononuju at the Lusaka High Court, Dr. Victor Telendi, a 48-year-old pathologist, has told the court that he is unfortunately not able to give a conclusion about the cause of death because the soft tissues and internal organs were not present due to decomposition. The court has heard that this conclusion comes after Dr. Telendi conducted a post-mortem examination on 15th January 2025 of the decomposed skeletal body of 51-year-old George Kalaba. According to the witness's testimony, in his 27 years of practice, being 13 years in Ukraine and 14 years in Zambia, he has never encountered such a case. Dr. Telendi says he has read that in some traditions or cultures in Malaysia and Taiwan, a relative could keep a body for a long time in the house, but he has never personally encountered such a situation. He testifies that in this case, he could tell it was the skeleton of a human male aged between 30 and 60 years, that the bones of the skeleton were intact, stating that this meant there were no marks or evidence of injuries on the bones. He says he cannot exclude, for example, disease or homicide, stating that he does not know why the person died. When asked if there is any evidence before the court that he conducted the examination, the witness referred to the post-mortem report. Best Jerry, Diamond News.
Malawans have today, September 16, 2025, turned out in large numbers to vote in presidential elections, with 17 candidates contesting the top seat. While most polling stations opened on time to high morning turnouts, local media reported slower voting in the afternoon. Stations that delayed opening compensated with extended hours. Our reporter Samuel Kwawe monitored the voting process in Malawi and has filed this report.
The air in Malawi today is thick with more than just the dry season dust. It's charged with anticipation. From the streets of Lilongwe and Blantyre to the most remote villages, Malawians have undertaken a patient pilgrimage to voting stations, their voters' cards a passport to the future they wish to see. Their choice is not a simple one. They are choosing from a crowded field of 17 presidential candidates. The frontrunners, as reported by local media outlets like Zodiac, include the incumbent President Lazarus Chakwera of the Malawi Congress Party MCP and his main challenger of the Democratic Progressive Party's DPP Peter Mutharika, seeking a return to power. This election is widely seen as a seal of the past 5 years, a period marked by economic challenges and promises of anti-corruption reforms. The Malawi Electoral Commission, MEC, reported a massive turnout in the morning, as noted by local media outlets. This initial surge is often a sign of high voter enthusiasm. But as the day wore on, the pace slowed under the afternoon sun. In some areas, logistical hurdles caused the delay. Local radio stations, a key source of information for many, reported that some centers which opened late were determined to make up the lost time. ensuring every eligible voter on the line by closing time would have their say. According to local media monitored by Diamond News, in other areas of Blantyre, there were demonstrations after alleged ballot papers were seen pre-marked. For many, this vote is deeply personal. It's not about grand political ideologies, but about the social and economic challenges Malawians have gone through. The results will come in the hours and days ahead, defining the nation's political landscape. But today, the real story is found in the queues, in the determination of a people exercising their most fundamental democratic right, shaping their nation's destiny. Samuel Sylvester Kwawe, Diamond News.
The Ministry of Labour has given Cochrane Trucking Limited 8 days to submit payroll and charge reports or face mandatory enforcement action. This follows complaints from drivers over poor working conditions and shortage charges, intimidation and lack of union representation, as well as unqualified staff managing the firm. During an inspection, Labour Commissioner Givens Muntengwa has urged the company to allow drivers to unionize, calling it a legal right as well as a key to workplace harmony. Let's hear more.
It was a tense morning for management at Cochrane Trucking Limited as inspectors from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security visited the company to verify claims made by drivers. The inspection follows a number of complaints from drivers who allege intimidation, poor working conditions and unfair treatment by the company. Speaking during the inspection, Labour Commissioner Givens Muntengwa stressed the need for compliance among logistics companies, noting that drivers have repeatedly raised concerns about their conditions of service.
To ask the company rather to submit the contracts of employment, the payroll and payslip, and once these are submitted, we'll then ask the drivers to verify, because that's the only way we'll satisfy ourselves that what is submitted is something that is obtaining on the ground. We've also discovered that the issue of dropping drivers from trucks and putting them on the bench is something that is not provided for in the disciplinary processes, and therefore it was a point of dispute between the drivers and the company.
And drivers found at the premises shared concerns raised with the Labour Office.
At least maybe job security.
Meanwhile, Cochrane Trucking Limited management insisted that it is compliant with the labour laws and questioned the ministry's decision to visit the company unannounced.
Here we have a situation where drivers themselves organize themselves and say, we don't want a union. We want direct representation to management because it's faster and there is no misrepresentation. Who are we? Because that's also a right. So we have not actually, we are not anti-union in other ways.
I sit and I ask the people, I say, okay, but they're saying that there are complaints which went to the Labour Office. Who was called there to ask so that before they come and make this company look so bad to the public, you sit them down, you are like the father in this. Yes. Children, you know what, child A, child B came here and said ABCD, you educate us. So from now on, you should not do this, do that.
However, the inspection revealed that the company's human resource manager was not a certified practitioner and that the firm had also failed to meet requirements under the National Health Insurance Management Authority.
Should be able to engage someone who is in good standing. And in good standing is by one being registered and having a valid practicing certificate.
Does he have a valid?
No, he doesn't.
So what?
They are currently non-compliant. So 2025, they have all their returns and payments, and their employees can have access to the services. However, we have pending inspection with Mr. Mlenga. We had requested for the payroll summaries. They haven't yet come through.
It is for this reason that the ministry has given Cochrane Trucking Limited an 8-day ultimatum to submit reports, failure to which legal action will be taken. Cherish Siwade for Diamond News.
This is the Diamond News Desk at 8. We have an update of the weather later. Our editorial comment.
This is your Diamond Insight on the worsening load shedding in the capital city. In September 2019, then opposition leader Hakainde Hichilema responded to a heartfelt letter from a grade 12 pupil named TP Banda. The student, struggling to study for exams amidst load shedding, appealed for help. The response from the man who would become president was direct and unequivocal. Once in power, load shedding is gone. On this day, the 28th of September 2019, I have made a promise. Today, as the Zambia Association of Manufacturers questions why emergency tariffs are in effect with no substantial improvement in power supply, that promise hangs in the air. A stark reminder of the chasm between campaign rhetoric and governing reality. This is not merely a technical or economic issue. It is a matter of political credibility and public trust. The government's current response, replying on emergency tariffs while delivering minimal, often unreliable power, is a weak solution to a fundamental problem. The ZAM's concern is valid. Businesses cannot thrive on promises or short-term costly fixes. They need a predictable, reliable energy source to operate, employ, and contribute to the nation's GDP. The current administration was elected on a platform of change, and a key component of that change was the resolution of chronic issues like load shedding. The promise to TP Banda and millions of other Zambians was not a vague political statement, but a firm commitment. 4 years later, that commitment has yet to be fulfilled. The government must now do more than simply manage the crisis. It must deliver on its promise. This requires a transparent and aggressive strategy to invest in new generation capacity, diversify energy sources, and reform ZESCO's operations to ensure efficiency and accountability. The Zambian people and the business community that drives the economy deserve a permanent solution, not a continuous stream of excuses and temporary measures. The time for promise is over. The time for delivery is long overdue.
Business News is brought to you by Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank. Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank, making tomorrow possible.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Business News Update tonight on the Diamond News Desk at 8. Here are the top stories. A rise in gold rush in Muchinga raises concerns, and government and Sinseli mine released 10 million kwacha compensation to Chingola traders.
These and many more stories are what we have for you today on the Business News Update, but also we'll take a look at the money markets and some commodity prices. And now the business news in detail to present it. My name is Cosmas Chongo Malenga. A rise in gold rush in Muchinga province has sparked concern among authorities with illegal mining in districts such as Mpika and Kanchiwia, described as alarming. Provincial Permanent Secretary Reverend Matthews Chilakwa says the rush has attracted an influx of people from the Copper Belt, Northwestern Province, and even neighboring Tanzania, worsening the situation. Reverend Chilakwa has explained that government, through the Ministry of Mines and the provincial administration, is working to formalize mining operations and regulate the sector. He says communities are also being engaged to promote sustainable development and protect the environment. Meanwhile, during a presentation at the ongoing Muchinga Investment Forum and Expo, mining geologist Dr. Sixas Molenga has stressed the importance of promoting large-scale mining if the province is to achieve industrialization. Muchinga province, rich with untapped mineral deposits, is fast becoming the center of gold rush. But behind the glitter lies a growing concern. Illegal mining in districts such as Mpika and Kanchiwia has been described by authorities as alarming.
How is the environment in terms of illegal mining here? Yeah, the environment actually is scary because, as we just said, people are moving from Northwestern Province or parts of the country to Muchinga. And then the president actually is on record discouraging such kind of vices, as provincial administration are not also supporting. But when we start formalizing...
At the ongoing Muchinga Investment Forum and Expo, experts are highlighting opportunities and challenges.
The concept of what grower scale and bring it into mining. And for us here in Muchinga, telling us that he went to where they're doing gold, and there's a lot of activity, which is good. But that activity must be managed in a way that we bring in a large-scale mining company.
Stakeholders at the forum says safety and regulated mining should be at the center.
To bring an element of accountability for those polluters, those who want to pollute and the like. But the question I have is, isn't there a right of these artisanal miners to use in mining the gold without polluting the river? You know, is there a way, because they are threatening a lot of livelihoods downstream? And
with those small-scale miners, the one in Kanyelele is well organized and they've got cooperatives. We have a lot of gold. First, we establish the buying of gold. Second, we are going to establish processing plants so that we get rid of all the mercury that is being used to process the gold. So, investing in Muchinga, we have got chiefs.
As the gold rush intensifies, Muchinga province now faces the delicate task of balancing economic opportunities with environmental protection and sustainability. Love Mosondash for Diamond News in Chinsali, Muchinga province. And now moving on, government is working with Sanseli mine owners and they have released 10 million kwacha to compensate traders who lost property during the recent Chingola riots. Committee Chairperson Bishop Joseph Kazila said about 120 traders from Chiwempala and Lulamba markets were affected, adding that the compensation followed directives from President Hakainde Hichilema and negotiations led by the provincial administration. Chingola Member of Parliament and Commerce Minister Chipoka Molenga urged small-scale miners to resolve grievances through dialogue instead of resorting to violence and looting. Copyright Minister Elisha Matambo reaffirmed the government's position that unsafe mining will not be tolerated, warning that the law will deal firmly with those who take the law into their own hands. Here are the details.
In other work over the violent riots that swept through Chingola, government in partnership with Sensele Mine owners have stepped in with relief. A total over 10 million kwacha has been released to assist marketeers who lost property. Committee chairperson Bishop Joseph Kajira revealed that about 120 traders were affected, adding that the package followed a directive from President Hakainde Hichilema and negotiations led by the provincial administration.
Diligently day and night, just desiring to secure the support you tasked us to pursue from Sensele Mine for the victims of looting.
Chingola Member of Parliament and Commerce Minister Chipuka Mulenga called for grievances to be resolved through dialogue and not looting. Commonwealth Minister Elisha Matambo reiterated that government will not tolerate unsafe mining practices, stressing that no one is above the law.
I'd like to thank the committee through the chairman, our father in the Lord, Bishop Kajira, for tactfully negotiating with Sensele. It was not easy, like you have said.
Beneficiaries have thanked government for the aid. And Mines Minister Paul Kabusu emphasized that safety must remain at the center of all mining operations. Has since returned to Chingola, with authorities pledging to safeguard both livelihoods and lives. Lavmo Sondesh for Diamond News.
Well, that's the business news stories we have for you today. Now time to take a look at the money market. And for the money markets today, we start off with the buying price of the United States dollar, which was going at 23 kwacha, 15 ngwe, and the United States dollar was selling at 23 kwacha, 18 ngwe. These are the average commercial rates of the day as of end of business day today, 16 September 2025. We now shift our attention to the construction commodities. Well, for the construction commodities, we have two items here, but the first one is the P-trap with adapter flexible sink drain pipe, which is going at 557 kwacha, 19 ngwe. This is not the only equipment that we have. We also have another one, which is particularly a different one from this one, which is a hand drill multifunctional drilling machine, electric driver, small pistol drill. For it, the price is 2,848 ngwe. These are your construction commodities. Let's now take a look at the food and the non-food items. Start off with the food items. Beef, 1 kg is going at 110 kwacha. 2 kg sugar is going between 67 and 70 kwacha. 1 kg of sugar is going between 35 and 37 kwacha, while 2.5 kg of flour is going at 89 kwacha. For 5 kg of Nakonda rice, it's going between 175 and 190, while a tray of eggs is going between 95 kwacha and 115 kwacha. 2.5 liters of cooking oil is going between 164 and 180, while 5 liters is selling between 260 and 300 kwacha. For milling meal breakfast, 10 kg is going between 130 and 150, while 25 kg is going between 260 and 310. For 10 kg of roller milling meal, it's 100 and 120 kwacha, in between that range, while 25 kg is in between 225 and 240. Those are your items for the food items. Now, the non-food items. We start off with toilet paper. 10 rolls are going to cost you 85 kwacha, while 175 grams of toothpaste is going between 37 and 40 kwacha. A bar of multi-purpose soap is selling between 35 and 45 kwacha, while washing powder, 500 grams, is selling between 40 and 45 kwacha particularly. And we have a liquid hand wash, which is selling at 45 kwacha for 750 mils. Those are your food and non-food items, the construction commodities
as well as the money markets and the business news stories we had for you today. Thank you for watching. After this, we'll continue the Diamond News Desk at 8.
Business News was brought to you by Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank. Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank, making tomorrow possible.
Welcome back. Now, Malawans today, September 16th, have turned out in large numbers to vote in the presidential elections with 17 candidates that are vying for the top seat. We go straight to Malawi, and joining us is Dixon Chivwati Gondwe. He's a journalist from Lilongwe, Malawi, currently working with Zodiac Broadcasting Station. Now, Dixon, quickly tell us what exactly is happening. Tell us about the voter turnout compared to the past elections, but also what issues seem to be coming out? Are there reports of any irregularities, intimidation, or any of some logistical challenges thus far?
Currently, I'm at the main tally center at the Bingu International Convention Center in Lilongwe. According to the Malawi Electoral Commission chairperson, Justice Annabel Ntalimanja, the voting has been so convincing. Slightly over 4 million people have voted out of 7 million that registered in this year's election. And on what the voters are saying, they are looking for leadership that will solve the economic challenges that Malawians are experiencing at the meantime: fuel shortage, forex, food. Those are some of the issues that the voters are mentioning, that they really need a leader who resolve such issues. On the part of how these elections have been conducted, they are saying that they have been convinced, and they are hopeful that there will also be a number of issues that will be there in order to consider a peaceful and a credible election. Some of the challenges was the missing of some names, but that issue has been resolved. And also there was an issue to do with the time. The casting had to start at 6 a.m. and the initial plan was that they should close at 4 o'clock. But the Malawi Electoral Commission has extended the period to ensure that all that registered should have a chance to vote for their leader. And looking at the candidates, the main ones, we are talking of President Lazarus Chakwera and Peter Mutharika of the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP. This was also the leader that served the country for a number of years previously, and Mutharika was defeated in the fresh presidential election in 2020.
Well, that's Dixon Chivwati there from the Zodiac Broadcasting Station. Give us an update on the ongoing election in Malawi. Now, Lake Road PTA School has commissioned 4 new classrooms, marking a milestone in expanding access to quality education. Board Chairperson Hayden Banda says the project demonstrates the power of collaboration, while Ministry of Education Director of Secondary Schools Yvonne Chulu commended the initiative for reducing congestion and improving outcomes.
Conducive learning environment is the foundation of quality education. It promotes dignity, inclusion, and gives every learner the space to thrive. Without it, education outcomes are compromised and the potential of young minds is limited. It is for this reason that Lake Road PTA School has celebrated a major milestone, the commissioning of 4 new classrooms.
I can confirm to you that our board has invested heavily in form of time and expertise for this project to be actualized in about 100 days.
Board Chairperson Hayden Banda says these classrooms are more than just physical structures. They represent a commitment to serving learners better and align well with government on the Zambia's agenda to improve education standards.
These new spaces, equipped with modern learning tools, will allow us to better serve our learners as they undertake the new competence-based curriculum. This initiative also aligns perfectly with the government of the Republic of Zambia, Zambia's commitment to providing quality education for all. By expanding infrastructure, we are directly contributing to the nation's goal of ensuring that every child has access to the resources they need to succeed.
On behalf of the Ministry of Education, Director of Secondary Schools Yvonne Chulu praised the initiative. She says, quality learning begins with a safe and conducive environment.
Today's achievement is also a powerful example of what can be accomplished when government, schools, parents, and the community work together. The Ministry of Education is committed to strengthening such partnerships across the country. While today we celebrate progress, let us all remember that there is still work to be done. Education is a continuous journey, and we must ensure that these classrooms are not just filled, but are filled with quality teaching, relevant resources, and motivated learners.
And from the learners themselves, Headboy Emmanuel Montali expressed gratitude, saying the classrooms represent opportunities to learn better and dream bigger.
We therefore pledge as students not only to study hard and honor this investment, but also to take care of these classrooms, to keep them clean, and to guard them against any form of vandalism. These are our classrooms, and we will protect them.
The commissioning ceremony was not only a celebration of expanded infrastructure, but also a reminder that when communities and government work together, education becomes a bridge to a brighter future. Victoria Kayeye Yambani, Diamond News.
Well, taking another set of commercials, we've got more news coming up shortly. Welcome back. Paramount Chief Mpezeni has summoned the Tobacco Board of Zambia and the Eastern Provincial Administration to Mfendeni Palace on Friday, September 19, 2025, to explain why some farmers have not been paid for tobacco sowed while other crops remain unsold. The chief expressed sadness over the treatment of farmers and has directed government representatives to meet farmers at his palace to help them recover their money. Now, according to the farmers, they sold tobacco to Haven Tobacco Company in May, but remain unpaid, while those contracted under the Tobacco Trading Company TTC have not had their crops bought. Some have resorted to sleeping in toilets or the open in Chipata as they wait.
In Eastern Province, tobacco farmers are living a marketing season nightmare. For farmers like Betty Chilembo of Miombe Mafinga district, the promise of a sale has come at a devastating personal price. She has been in Chipata since May, and with food and accommodation a constant challenge, her situation has become dire. To shelter her child from the elements, Betty has been forced to sleep in a toilet, a desperate measure for a mother taken just to guard her tobacco and hope it gets sold.
So kwame nigona chepanja pamuma toilet kuja kwame tigona mlandu na mwana so faka tusiba tigula po bachitu batisakira company.
For 22-year-old Blessings Muhango from Mafinga District 2, this venture was meant to be a launch pad for his future.
President, our Excellency, has been encouraging us young youths to venture into agriculture in order for us to help with the economic development of the country. So I decided to do that, but unfortunately, with what I have faced this year, it has shattered all my dreams of going to school.
And then There are those who did manage to sell their crop to Haven Tobacco Company but have never been paid. Since May, they have waited.
So we have the sales sheets. These are the sales sheets. Yeah, so what we want and what we are appealing to TBZ and the government is that we are paid.
With nowhere else to turn to, their next move was to take their grievances to a traditional leader. They went to Paramount Chief Mpezeni petitioning him to intervene and make their cries heard.
Kuchokera Mei paka nalomba bakini olala mvimbuzi tina bana ba sukulu apa bakuti bakalinurute kusukulu so umoyo wamene wativuta no wamene wakuti fwaka yeguliwa paka yetilipira fwaka ifunika kugulisiwa hii kuliena kwamene kuli kampani.
Paramount Chief Mpezeni has summoned the Tobacco Board of Zambia and the Eastern Provincial Administration to his palace this Friday. The Tobacco Board of Zambia has acknowledged the crisis. Public Relations Manager Lee Hawanji says the board will issue its position soon. For now, farmers like Betty, Blessings, and hundreds of others continue to wait. Samuel Sylvester Kwawe.
Finally tonight, the Zambia Governance Foundation will this Friday launch the ZGF philanthropy drive that is aimed at reducing reliance on foreign aid by promoting local resource mobilization. CEO Ngwase Mwale says philanthropy is not just about money, but also about skills, time, ideas, and collective action. She stressed the drive is not a one-off appeal, but a national movement to promote change from within the country. Community-led development and CSO support manager Raphael Mwila says ZGF has supported 188 organizations so far and intends to extend much more support.
The foundation says it will this Friday, 19th of September 2025, launch the philanthropy drive with the aim to reduce dependence on foreign development aid by promoting local resource mobilization for local priorities. Organization Chief Executive Officer Ngwase Mwale has highlighted the importance of this activity.
As we call them INGOs in Zambia, creates both opportunities and vulnerabilities for the local civil society organization. While they channel a lot of resources, local civil society organizations have become heavily dependent on their grants and financing. And that is not adequate enough in order to innovate and meet the needs of the communities. We are laying the foundation as Zambian Governance Foundation. On the come 19th September, we are launching our Zambian Philanthropy Drive, and it is our vision that this drive will bring in every well-meaning Zambian to be part of supporting local community transformation through supporting community-led development.
Rachel Mwila is Organization Community-Led Development and Civil Society Organization Support Manager, who has highlighted how the organization is supporting local initiatives.
For the last 12 years, we've been able to support approximately 188 civil society organizations and 15 communities. We've been able to give out an approximately 262 grants. And our grants are accompanied with the capacity support that the organizations and the communities need to become more sustainable and become more resilient.
Many community-led initiatives that have been supported by the organization, among them waste recycling businesses and CSOs, will exhibit at the event in order to highlight the impact supporting local organizations have on the Zambian economy.
What are the highlights of the Open Day? The highlights include the following: exhibitions showing youth enterprises, women-led initiatives, climate action groups, waste management innovators, and community foundations.
The organization is of a belief that Zambia can have a different reality when women, men, youths, and people with disabilities work together towards sustainable development. Prudence Chota for Diamond News.
Well, we've come to the end of tonight's edition of the Diamond News Desk at 8. You can catch many of these stories on diamondtvzambia.com. You can also follow us on Facebook on Diamond TV Online or on X at Diamond TV Zambia. Thank you so much for making time. You can catch the news summary tomorrow at 6 in the morning. On behalf of the entire production team, thank you for watching. Good night.